Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Nomalanga. I am a life balance coach specializing in the M3 program, marriage, motherhood, and money making. I have here three queens with me, and we're going to tackle a very interesting topic. We have Dominique Morgan. Hi, Dominique.
Hi.
The Whitmore Group. Dominique is a realtor, RN, and a coach. We have Aisha Verzi, financial service expert. Hi, Aisha. And Angeline, who is, I'm going to get it right, Angeline, CEO of Melanated Neurons Communiverse and Systems Disruptor. Hi, Angeline.
How you doing?
Great stuff. We have a great show today, ladies. Today we're talking about Cameron explaining why he considered his ex a bad investment. According to him, he put $25,000 into her business and it didn't work. He went on to say that ambition was part of the issue, pointing out that she's been in nursing school for close to a decade and still hasn't finished. His comment opened up a larger conversation about money, effort, timelines, and expectations inside the relationship. So ladies, I'll just want to get your first reaction. We'll start with you, Dr. Angeline. Your reaction to that. He's basically saying his girlfriend has, basically she's lazy, no drive. Or am I putting my feelings in it? What's your reaction?
Well, if she's been in nursing school for, what do you say, 20-something years?
10 years?
10 years and still hasn't finished? Yeah, I mean, to me, that might have been a sign, not to mention the fact that he didn't want to invest in her in the first place. So he already saw some signs. I don't know if there was a conversation that was had because, hey, maybe she's finally feeling like nursing isn't what I really want to do. Maybe this is what she thought she might have wanted to do and wanted to try something else. And the fact that she put up her own money, she invested in herself, which to me was the smart move. And he had an opportunity to say, no, I'm not going to do it. And he didn't. So now you did it anyway. Don't talk about her.
Thoughts, Dominique?
So when we're thinking about an investment. Everybody wants a return on their investment. So if he did not see a return, then no, it wasn't a good investment for him. So when I'm thinking about it, especially now, everybody wants this quick, get rich quick, and everything has to be quick, like this microwave generation. And so it looks like, it may be situations where people just want to do things fast and they see somebody else doing it and they think of it. It's the ideal of it. Like, okay, I can make money and I can do it real quick. And so her partner invested in her business, but it didn't get a return. So no, I agree. Not a good investment if you don't get a return on your investment.
Thoughts, Aisha?
Well. I think the question is, did he vet her first? Did he vet the process, right? He didn't vet her properly. So if you don't vet properly and you get the result that you have, you just have to see check it up to, hey, it is what it is. These things happen, right? If you have a business, think about it. Not all business make it. So it's just one of those things. But just hearing what he said, but what you read, maybe she just hasn't decided yet what she wants to do. She's procrastinating. So that's what it sounds like to me.
Listen, they said girlfriend, not some random person who asked them for an investment, okay? They said girlfriend. And in this modern age, when they say girlfriend, it means he has absolute access to her cookie, okay? So he is paying for something that he is getting. Don't talk to me about no return on investment, okay? There are parts of the world where to get that cookie, the price is marriage. He doesn't even marry her, gives her a little old bitty 25,000 and then gonna make noise. Please give us a break. I I'm sorry, I'm just hot. Some of these conversations get me really worked up. And then we don't get to treat our partners like how we would treat somebody who isn't our partner. Okay, or talk about them in investments and all that. It's not the same. Okay, it's just not the same. We don't know what other things she does for him or how she's making his life better. He cannot look at her and say, you lost 25,000, so now you're lazy. You've been in nursing school. For all we know, she's been in nursing school for that long time because of him. He's been delaying her progress. So, Miss Producer, do we have a video? Do we continue with more questions? I'll go to the first question. What does Cameron mean when he says bad investment? I'll start with you again, Dr. Angeline.
I really have no idea what he means by bad investment, but I do believe he means that there was no return on his money. That's, I think, how he is interpreting, because for him, it's all about the dividends, right? But I'll wait until we get a little bit further in and see a couple of these videos so I can get a little bit more insight on maybe what has happened.
Okay, well, we'll looks like we have a video, so let's see the video. It gives us a little more insight.
She saved up $100,000, over $100,000, to get this venue. She tells me about the venue, asks my opinion. I tell her I wouldn't invest in that. You saved up the money, don't do it. But I'm saying my friend got one of these, and she had LL Cool J come over for her wedding, and this, that, third, and I had to do this, that, and the third. This is why you want to get a wedding venue, because you knew somebody with a wedding venue, and you thought that you could duplicate what she was doing. Come to find out, you told me that she wasn't doing what she really was doing. I told her that I don't think this is a smart investment, and I would not do it. I understand going against what people say, because I ask people for their opinion, and sometimes they'll say, I don't think this is going to work. It is going to work, either or. But you get the advice. So it's people that told me this isn't going to work, and it's worked. There's people that told me this stuff I should do is going to work, and I didn't invest. It's just a gamble you do when you do business. Right or wrong, Larry, it's a good.
100%. Very true.
It's a business.
I don't feel like
it's my goal. It's my goal. It's my goal.
Oh.
It's my goal. Larry's a businessman, so he understands about investment. I tell her don't invest this $100,000. She invests $100,000.
All right.
It doesn't do well. The landlord didn't have a ceiling in there. She was ceilingless.
What?
Not saying it was a sunroof or anything like that, but like she said, it was a shell. It was a lot of work. She didn't have an oven. She needed a lot of stuff.
What?
So the part she's talking about now is that when she comes back to me and needs help to get all these things done,
Which you already told her.
for her spot,
Yeah.
she may be correct on that. I may have wanted blood because I told you don't do this in the first place.
Yeah.
I may have been like,
Yeah.
it's my goal. I don't understand why I can't get my goal. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I've been talking this whole show. I've been like, so I can't get my goal.
Now,
So
it's about 20 minutes into the conversation, but Cam is doing a fantastic job to lay out the facts. Now, shout out to her for accumulating $100,000 that she can invest into a business. But if you invest $100 and there's no damn roof, the complex is not finished enough where you can earn revenue off of this investment, and you have an expectation for people who told you not to invest into it to then invest in it, that is the absolute wrong way to go about business. Y'all look at all of these Instagram quotes and highlights and talking about manifesting, and if there's a will, there's a way. That don't work in business. It might work in your mind, in delusion, in fairy tales and movies and shit like that, but that don't work in reality.
Okay. I still feel the same way, but but I want to ask you, ladies, I'll go to you, Dominique, and ask, have you had a partner that was a bad investment?
So I've been with my husband since we were in college. I think together we've made bad investments, just learning. We grew up together basically. So I don't consider, like, he's a long-term, of course, relationship. So I don't consider bad investments. I think that together we've made bad investments, just learning, trying to figure things out. Again, we grew up together. We've been together half of our lives since we were in college, 19 and 20. So other than that, no bad, investments in terms of a partner. We just made, you know, and in our mind at the time, they weren't bad investments. We were just trying to figure things out and see what works in the best interest of our family.
Understood. Aisha, have you had a partner that was a bad investment? We're still talking romantic here before we go to the other kinds of
Yes.
partners.
Absolutely, I have, and I was the one that actually made the bad investment. Okay, and but it happens not because it was my choice; it was through a scam. But just like Cameron was speaking, it kind of touched me because my husband told me, I don't trust these people. I don't think they have your best interest at heart. I know you think they're going to help you with whatever you're trying to do, but I don't trust them. So he did, just like he said, my husband did the same, spoke to me and advised me. And it was all this money that I've saved. But I said, no, I think I trust them because I trust myself. I'm a good person. I don't cheat people. They won't cheat me. He said, I just don't think it's a good idea. I don't think you should do it. But guess what? I went and did it anyway because just like she thought, right? I did the same thing. And my husband was absolutely right. They scammed me a lot of money. It wasn't 20,000. It wasn't 100,000.
This wasn't romantic, right? Because we're
With my
having a
husband.
problem with the fact that you're married and having a romantic partner and investing in
Oh,
a
no,
romantic
no,
partner.
no. It wasn't that. It was just real business. It was business.
It was just a business investment.
Business,
Yeah.
yes.
I guess the
Just like
question
her, I
was
think it was
more
just
about.
business too. It was a business investment she was trying to do, right? She saved money to do it. So but I was the one that made the bad choice, and my husband was giving me advice, and I didn't listen to him. And yeah, so I totally understand.
Angeline, any bad investments in a partner? And I'm talking romantic here.
So I'm probably the only one that's not married. So no, I can't. The only reason, now this is what I will say is I made a bad investment in my time. I made a bad investment in thinking that things could go a certain way and long term like that. But as far as putting money out, no. And it was probably for that reason why I didn't talk about doing a lot of the business things that I had in my mind, because I didn't want anybody to say, well, I did this for you or I did that for you if things didn't work out. So no money wise, but in my time, yeah, bad investment.
Understood. Do we have another video, Miss Producer?
So as a woman, if I share my body with a man, I shouldn't expect him to want to protect and provide for me. That's what you would teach your fucking daughter? That's what you would teach your daughter?
Oh,
teach
your
her
daughter. I'm sorry.
She just having sex with a man that doesn't want to protect and provide for her? Like what?
The problem is this: you want to protect.
You think
and
men
provide.
and women are equal?
No. What I'm trying to explain to you is this: for me, I rather invest in my female than give my female, and that's the problem.
You never invested in me
because you had bad investments. That's why you're in nursing school.
That's not why I'm in nursing school. I've been working on my nursing degree since fucking 2019.
Why you don't have it yet?
I opened the business to help me get through nursing school.
Which was
because I needed a passive income.
Which was a bad investment. Right.
Okay. I did not know she was going to come in there. Okay, so our producer is saying that the question was talking about business, okay? I just have a problem with trying to make it seem as if you're in a romantic relationship with somebody, that it can be just business. It's never just business. That's why she's so nasty and they're having that back and forth. If it had been another person, would have been no hard feelings. Like, okay, I gave you the money, you made a bad investment, and that's it. She wouldn't be talking about, well, if you effing me and effing this and all that. I think it would have turned out differently. But I digress. So is this about money or about effort, Dominique? When you're listening to this, is it about money or effort?
I think it's about both. And I think I'm looking at it differently than you're looking at it. I do believe in relationships, it should be operated as a business, right? I think to some extent, you have to think about, especially when you're talking about money, right? because money is the biggest issue in a relationship. So if we're not investing right and our money is not being handled right, you don't think that's going to cause any kind of conflict? It is. I actually had a friend that operated their marriage as a business. They had a mission, vision, core values, just like a business, because the biggest issue that you find in relationships is surrounding money, right? So why not operate? And I'm not saying like be so robotic and you have to do it like this, but think about it like a business. You want a well-oiled machine. So if your partner is saying, hey, let me think about that. Like, let's think about this. Let's break this down. And they're thinking about what's in the best interest of all of us, not just them, not just you. Because again, as partners in business, these things don't just impact one person. They impact both people. So if I make a bad investment, that's not my bad investment. That's our bad investment. That's our money that we're losing. So I do think that from a relationship perspective and a business perspective, they go hand in hand. I need to be able to make moves, calculated moves, strategic moves with a business partner. Just like if it wasn't a relationship and it was a business partner, I would do the same thing. So why do we think that because it's relationships, it's different? It's not different. If you're gonna do this over here, you should do it over here as well, because it impacts both of you all.
See, I think that he shouldn't have even given her the money in the first place. If he's going to say, well, you lazy and you this and you've been in nursing school for a decade, that doesn't sound like a candidate for being given any money. See, but why did he give her the money? Because he's in a relationship with her. And that's what I'm going to keep harping on. If it had been any other person who came and presented something and then said, will you invest in me? He probably would have just said, no, you look like you're a bad investment and I'm not doing it. You see what I'm saying?
I think he was trying to prove a point, right? To him, $25,000 is not a big deal. It is, but it's not. He wanted to prove a point. He didn't think it was good, and hopefully it turned out.
He wanted to set her up for failure.
That's even worse. I don't think that. I don't think he was setting her up for failure, but I do think that he was saying, "Hey, I want you to know that I support you, but I'm gonna give it to you, but I don't think it's a good idea." You get what I'm saying? And then when it didn't work,
and let's see what happens. And then what happened is what he said was going to happen. I see what you mean. Yeah. Angeline, how do timelines factor into perceptions of ambition?
Well, we can already see that he had already looked at the timeline from her nursing school. Right. So he already had a thought process in his own mind that, okay, it's been 5 years, 10 years, whatever it was, and she still is not a nurse yet. Now, she said because she was building the business. Maybe that is true. But I also want to say that I didn't like when she was saying, but I'm laying down and I'm sleeping with you and all of this kind of stuff. So in a way, it almost made me think, what were your thought processes before you even entered the relationship? Did you think that if you did X, Y, and Z, had his baby, like it makes me start to think along those lines as well, that you felt like you were supposed to have his support and supposed to have his money. And so I think you said it in the beginning, you the girlfriend, you not the wife. And then when we heard the conditions of the place that she was going to start this venue, the conditions weren't even right. So the first timeline should have been, if this is what you really want to do, take some of that $100,000 and invest in this place. Let's get this place together. But she didn't listen. Apparently, that's how it sounds. She didn't listen. This is what she wanted because she saw somebody else do it who had a name that came into the venue. So to me, her whole thought process from the very beginning with this whole venue wasn't correct. Now, I feel like, yes, this was some like gold digging kind of stuff. And now I had your baby, you supposed to, like, it really made me start to think along those lines and now she mad. Well, you got the $25,000 and jacked that up, and then you lost your $100,000. Now, do you think you in good investment? Like, I would have.
Yeah, our producer saying it looks like she was just looking for a come up, and then she also says, "Well, she should have taken that 100,000 and finished school." Aisha, how do timelines factor into perceptions of ambition? In other words, they're saying she's been in nursing school for all of a decade. So that he's obviously looking at the timeline of how long it takes her to complete something. So how do timelines factor into perceptions of ambition?
Yeah. And the timeline tells us a lot about someone. It does. Did they get did they complete their task when they say they will complete it? Or do they keep procrastinating and stretching the time when you're like, okay, when are we going to get this done? Right. So I think it does. It does affect how people perceive what you're doing. But sometimes also things might happen along the way as we're trying to do something. Like she said, because I was trying to listen to both of them, and she was saying, I was trying to do this so I can have passive income to complete what I'm trying to do. And to do that, you have to stop whatever you're doing to start another thing, because we can't do everything all at once, right? We can't, even though we want to, we end up, something suffers if we start to do so many things all at once. So the timeline, the time, will become distorted because of that. So I think based on this particular scenario, I think what was happening was she wants to live the high life now. So she's about to complete her school, so that's done. She wants to do that, but also she wants to live a fancy life where the celebrities.
See, the thing is, when I was in college, I did two bachelor's degrees at the same time, and they were supposed to take me 4 years. I wrote some challenge exams. I used some life experience, got 2 bachelor's degrees in 3 years, right? But there were people who I knew that I went to school with, that I did my undergrad and went to grad school and finished grad school, and they were still working on their associate's degree. You know why? They didn't have the money. They would literally come to school, take some classes, and then go work all summer, and then realize at the end of the summer that they still don't have enough, then have to work for the fall semester, and then get enough money, then come do a little bit of school. And that was the cycle. And eventually they did finish, some of them. I mean, some of them obviously lost track. So I can just say, and they were certainly could have said to be more ambitious than some student who maybe was lucky enough to have had a scholarship and parent support, so she could do her little old double degrees in 3 years. So I don't know about ambition and timelines necessarily always having the same kind of results.
Yeah,
we have not. Yeah, it's time for another video. I'll hit you back, ladies, when we come back from the next video.
Yes, indeed.
When you know a girl is a bad investment,
I'm gonna keep it so motherfucking real, man. Most women are a bad investment. Most of them are liability.
Wow.
Man, if I could think about all the women I done had, and I'm a square now, as being a square, unless you really having a woman check it in and bring you some money, when is she a good investment? When? That's all I'm saying. Ask yourself, if you didn't have your woman, how much more money you would have, how much more time you would have, how much more mind space you would have. It's always a liability.
See, I knew we were gonna go there. So here's the thing that I cannot get off of this whole show without saying, okay? Our value is not always defined by how much money we're bringing into the relationship, especially if you're a woman. I literally just saw something where a woman said she was divorcing her husband because she felt like she had to do everything. And she was like, he's like the 4th child and I can't do it. But that actually is the reality of most women. But the truth is that you can't always tangibly maybe put into words or into money what you're doing, but it's a lot. It is a lot. So when you take a woman and try to reduce her to how much money did she bring? And if she didn't bring enough money, then she's not valuable. She's not a good investment. I really have a problem with that. But I'll shelve that and to continue with our questions. So we'll start with you, Angeline. How do expectations change once money is involved?
Well, we see it, right? How the thought processes of both these men and when money is involved. And that one right there, I shouldn't even called him a man because that was just straight up ghetto trifling. Once again, are you trying to look for some likes on the video and all that other kind of stuff? Because I would have had to ask him, and I would have asked him, is your mama a good investment? Like, would you say that about your mother?
Because he sounded like a pimp. Like, how much money?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we already know what type of relationships that he has been involved in. So you date, a lot of times if you keep attracting those type of women that you're talking about, is the problem the women or is the problem you? So yeah, I'm not even going with that one at all. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll throw that same question to you, Dominique. How do expectations change once money is involved?
I don't know. I think, money is a big deal, right? So people don't want to lose their money. But then I'm going to go back to this video real quick. When you think about a man like that, look how he looks. What do you think? You're flashy. What do you think you're going to attract? And then you want to say that women are not good investments. No, what you attract based on what you're putting out there is not a good investment. And I think we can all speak for this. Majority of the women that I know, they're successful. They have their own money. They do big things. So to say all women are bad investments, no, it's based on what you're attracting. I do think that when you add money to the mix, I know I'm funny about my money. And so the expectations are going to change because I'm going to be asking more questions. If you want to make this investment, I want to make a calculated risk. I want to make a calculated investment. So I'm going to ask more questions. Maybe if money is not involved, I'm not going to ask all those. The expectations are different. I'm not going to ask questions. Okay, if you feel like you want to do that, hey, you want to go sit at the cigar lounge is different than if you want to buy a cigar lounge. You get what I'm saying? And so when the money is involved, those expectations are different because I'm going to ask more questions. I want to know, what does this look like? What are your plans? Long-term, short-term? How do you plan to get from point A to point B? What type of paperwork needs to go in place? How much is it going to be? So I think it does change when expectations do change when money is involved.
When money is involved. See, I like where you took this, and I'm going to throw this at Aisha, specifically as a married woman. And Dominique, you were also speaking as a married woman. Here's the thing. If you're asking that many questions and policing that much about what is you doing, this and this and that, all of that, to what extent are you going to do that? And where do you draw the line between just being wise, asking the right questions, and getting to a point where you're now making him feel like you don't trust his judgment? You're not giving him enough rope to make mistakes and recover from them. He's not the one making the decisions. Where do you draw that line, Aisha?
Yeah, where do you draw the line? I think everybody is going to have a different life experience based on their marriage and how they started their relationship. And so sometimes it's hard to judge one family over the other because it depends on what is happening between those relationships. In my relationship with my husband, we work together when it comes to the finances. We collaborate together. And the time that I've gone outside his counsel as my husband, I've seen how I suffered. So there is a blessing if you listen to the counsel of each other. Sometimes it could be the wife listen to maybe trying to give the husband counsel as well. Say, hey, listen, that investment is going to it won't be a good one for us. Maybe we should talk about it more. Let's make sure that we're doing the right thing, right? So it just going to depend on every family because, again, every family has their own way of doing things. But for me specifically, I definitely, going forward, since that happened, I listen to the wise counsel of my husband so that way we can really make decisions that will benefit all of us. Not just one person thinking, I will do this and this will happen. Rather, how is it going to affect all of us? At the end of the day, money is a big factor because when something goes wrong, it affects not just you, also the next generation. It sets you back. So, but listening to my husband to me is very important right now praying about it and then making decisions that are wise, because we know we read more, find out more what we need to do, and then make the decision once we've seen all the angles. So yeah, it's important that we do that in our relationships.
Yeah, and then you made a good point. Like, not everybody's relationship is, or rather, everybody's relationship is different.
Yeah.
I'll give you a little more traditional approach, and I think that at the end of the day, if you're in a marriage, my belief, and that's the natural structure of marriage, is the bottom line is the husband. He's the one who's accountable. He's the one who has to answer for his family being taken care of. I always give this example. I say, if two people, right, a man and a woman, they mess around, lose their house, lose their cars, and end up on the street, people are looking at him like, dang, you really messed that up, right? If they come to your house, man and a woman, and the house is filthy, they won't say, oh, what a filthy man. They're going to say, oh, this woman is filthy. They won't even say what a filthy couple. They're just going to look at the woman. So whether we like it or not, those things are somewhere in the back of our mind because they actually are real. He has the final, like, that's his responsibility to make sure that the family is well taken care of. So I think that sometimes we kind of lose sight of that. And I just wanted to throw that in there. But Angelique, how much patience, okay, is reasonable when someone is being supported? How much patience is reasonable?
Girl, I don't know what I'm gonna say. What I'm gonna say is the same thing our sister Aisha said. It depends on the couple, right? Now my patience, I would tell you, would start to run thin if I saw, like, for maybe 3 months, you supposed to be over at the business and you don't get there till maybe like 3:00 in the afternoon, and you were supposed to open up at 9. After a certain point of time, my patience would be like, we would have to have a conversation about this. But I think,
what about if it's not a romantic partner?
What, just a business partner?
Mm-hmm. How much patience is reasonable when someone is being supported? You're supporting somebody, whether it's a friend, a cousin, somebody.
We would have to have a conversation about that pretty soon, sooner than later. I don't know if I will put a time on it, but I will say this: if I'm looking at you in 1 month and you've only been to the store or whatever we're investing in, or you only spent time online 8 hours, and yet we've been over a 40-hour or 120-hour or whatever, 240-hour month, and you only gave me 40, sis, we're going to have a problem. Yeah, we're going to have a conversation about my money, and we're going to have a conversation and go back and look at the plan and the contract. Because I think, too, that's what we need to talk about as well, how all of these things need to be a part of the planning and a part of the contract.
Yeah. So a little more traditional stuff here. Here's the thing about, I'll speak specifically about our culture, which I think we should be the broader Black culture. When you get married, you're supposed to get married having been set up by your own family that you come from, that if things go wrong in your marriage, you won't be out on the street. That's how usually you can kind of decide when a man comes and says, hey, I want to marry your daughter. And you look and you're like, okay, let's see. Okay, can you marry my daughter or not? You're supposed to ask the questions like, okay, say you made a bad investment. What's going to happen? What have you put aside for her that you're not touching, so that when she, that's what people don't understand about dowry. That's what it originally was. It was supposed to be an investment where you give a certain amount of money. It's an investment and it stays where it is. You don't touch it. If he dies, she's okay. If he leaves, she's okay. If he makes mistakes, she's okay. It's supposed to protect you. So by the time you get to a point where now there's a girlfriend asking a boyfriend for money, now I have to ask, where's your dad? Like, why isn't your dad investing in you? Where, okay, maybe not, you don't have a dad. Where's your mom? Like, where are your people? Because I feel so, like, you can tell I have strong emotions about him getting on there and say, well, she's not even a good investment and she didn't this. And then the other guy comes and say, well, I had so many women. He means he slept with them and then left, right? And then he wants to talk about them. And I have a real problem with that. I have a problem with that. Same thing with this woman that is his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend. He kind of feels like he shouldn't have been in a position to set her up and make her comfortable unless she's going to be a good return on investment, because that's why she ended up going off the rails. She did it very badly and said, well, you slept with me and you thought you could, all of that. But she was really trying to say, like, I thought I was more than just where you put money and then the money comes back as more. I think that's what she was trying to say and just wasn't very diplomatic about it. I think we have another video. Oh, it's the same video.
The most important financial investment you can make is the person that you choose to have as your long-term partner, because I've seen where people are in relationships and they're at two different ends of the spectrum when it comes to how they manage their money. Sometimes I sit and have conversations with couples and you can see within that meeting that they're surprised about what the other person is saying. Sometimes a person's financial habits within the relationship actually can be the deciding factor in the relationship ending in some cases. So I think the person that you choose to settle with long term, you guys need to sit down very early on and have a conversation about money. Don't let it be that thing that actually you think, oh, it will sort itself out. I think it's important to understand, how do both of us think about money? How do we see money? What are our plans for money? And it might be that they are totally different and you're able to work on that and get to a place where you both understand. But I firmly believe, and I've done it in my own relationship, if you sit down and you talk about what it is that you're both trying to achieve, and then you look at what each individual is able to bring to that conversation and look at what they think about their money and how you see it, you can meet somewhere in the middle. And it might be that you're talking joint accounts. It might be that you're talking one joint account and a few separate accounts. Some people don't believe in that at all. But as a couple, when you're investing in each other, you just need to find something that works for you.
So here's a good question. Aisha, maybe I'll start with you and then the other ladies can answer the same question. How does power shift when one person funds the other? The power shift.
Power shift. You know, if in a relationship, it saddens me though that, like what we did when we saw that video, we can tell that their relationship is not on the good ground anyway. Because if somebody was your spouse, there will not be a power struggle, right? That's how I was raised. There's no power struggle. You know who is the head of the household. No, so it just, no matter what, the leader of the household is the husband, and his decisions carries weight. But of course, now with things have changed over the years. Women also have a voice, like a very loud voice, like I was able to do because I was educated and I'm in this field, but I still made a mistake, right? So I think that the power shift, hopefully, as we all try to understand how to be better just by watching their relationship, is to know that, we have to have an agreement. Like the lady was saying, there has to be an agreement from the beginning that we would submit to one person. It can be all of us like having this power struggle all the time, because then at the end of the day, we are all going to end up losing. But if somebody was in charge, or somebody at the end of the day, what do you say? Because you're the one with the, whether it's money or no money, you're the one with the final say when we decide everything. Then we'll have that respect for each other and dignity. But if we don't have that, then we're always fighting and not sure who is in charge, who has more power. Is it because you make more money than me, so you have more power now? So at the end of the day, I
hear what you're saying. So you should have it already established who's the leader. So then there isn't a question about who has the power, who doesn't have the power.
No, about the money.
What do you think, Dominique?
So I think that
how does power shift when one person funds the other?
So I just really think it's based on the relationship. Sometimes it shifts in the woman's favor. Things are just so different now, right? So there's no like cookie cutter way to look at it. It really depends. So you can have a man that's like, I'm the head of the household. So even though you make the money, I make the decisions. You have households where, they come together and they make a collaborative decision. And then you have households where women, the power shift is in their favor because the man is like, I'm not good with this. This is what you're good at. I'm going to let you have it. I don't think there's no shift one way or the other. What I do think is that, like Aisha was saying, we have this barrier, like this feud, man versus female, instead of looking at it from an individual perspective. My perspective is going to be different than other people's perspective. I grew up with my husband, literally, like we grew up together. We didn't come from money. We didn't understand money. A lot of stuff we have figured out on our own. We've made mistakes. Money has created issues. That's real life. We've worked through it. We've tried to navigate the stuff. You think about it. We're in college. Then we had a child. We didn't have money. We didn't have, we didn't have anything to talk about until it was time to talk about it. And then we didn't come from it. So it's not like we were having these conversations in our homes to say, hey, and I wasn't positioned where it's like, okay, my family is making sure, you're positioned. So when your husband comes along, this is what it looks like, because we didn't have that. And we don't have those conversations. So
you think you'll create that for your children?
Ideally, that is the goal. But again, we're creating this from nothing. Like and a lot of people are in the same position that I'm in. And then you have social media that's trying to dictate what everybody's household should look like. And if your household doesn't look like this, and the man, because I know men that they want a woman that's strong and that can handle the money, because they like, that's not my thing. I don't want to do it. And then you have some men that are like, now ain't no woman gonna tell me nothing, even though he gonna ride you on the wall. He wants you to be his ride or die, but you always dying. It makes sense. And I think that you have to do it.
You're still always dying when somebody says they don't want to handle it and they throw it onto you, because what he's really doing is evading responsibility and throwing it onto the woman. And that's just, in my books, that's a loser.
Now, I don't agree. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't. And the reason why I don't agree with that is because I
don't agree with what?
That when you throw that responsibility on the woman, that he's just evading. I don't agree with that. And I don't agree with that because I come from parents who have been married 60 years this year, parents who I watched start a business, parents who were married early and made some of those same mistakes, Dominique. And I came along real quick right after they was married. And so I got to grow up and see it. My mom is phenomenal with money. And my dad, but she was taught, she was an engineer. She learned this, she did that with money, this, that, and the other. My dad didn't come from a family that taught about money like that. Even though they had businesses, he didn't get the benefit of learning that. And so years later, when she said, I want to start my own clothing company, my own boutiques, they came together. And this thing with the man is the head, the woman is the neck. And if she is wise enough and can really have the ability to understand what a family means, and that a family means partnership, she has the ability to help that man turn the neck either way he needs to turn it, right?
Yeah.
So
she influences his decisions, but we're still at the point where you're questioning, does he make the decisions or does she make the decisions?
They make them together.
Right. And is it based on who's funding? See, that's because there's that's a very key thing. Does the power shift when one person funds the other? And we're all talking around it, but actually, yes, it does.
So I still don't agree, because they didn't look at, you're funding me. This was our money, and this was our money that we built together. We're funding.
If you remove your parents from it, don't you think that whoever is funding, does that not change or shift the power?
I think it can, depending on whoever it is that you're married to. I think it can. Again, like these ladies said, it depends on your own relationship.
It does. And I love your parents' story. It sounds similar to my parents. They were together from the time they were teenagers, and they were together until they were, my father passed away when they'd been together for over 50 years. So it's a beautiful thing to watch. We have another video from our producer. I was going to say something, but I'll save it for later.
A good woman is an investment. An immature one is a bill. Recognize the difference between the two. A good woman can build you, can grow you, can nurture you, can care for you, can give you a family, can give you so much peace in your life. An immature woman will seek pleasure and will not be loyal to you, will not respect you, will drain you, will focus on herself in selfish ways and not the partnership as a whole. It's a parasitic relationship. So understand, a good woman is an investment, an immature one is a bill.
Awesome. I'm glad he brought that up because, like I said from the onset, I really have a problem where we define relationships just based on money when we're talking about romantic relationships. If you take it away from marriage and family and you're talking about just strict partnerships, then absolutely you need to, I'm putting this in, show me, buddy, where it's going to come back out and show me, how you're not a risk and all of this other stuff. But if you're talking about romantic relationships, there's so much more. Can we start with the fact that if you have 5 children, let's even say 2, okay? You spend the first year trying to get pregnant, then you spend the other year pregnant, then you spend the other year breastfeeding, and then they're small and then diapers, and then another one comes along, blah, blah, and on and on and on and on and on and on. And then for somebody to say, well, you're not a very good investment, because I just can't get on board with that. I just can't. Anonymous says he likes paying bills. Good. We finally agree on something. I had a really good question. Go ahead.
He dumped somebody last week for not washing the dishes.
I think he just makes our show fun. More fun. So what happens, ladies, when ambition levels don't match? What happens when ambition levels don't match? We'll start with you, Angeline.
There's going to be some issues, point blank. Point blank. Especially if money is involved and I'm investing in you and I have more of a drive, or you really don't have the ambition. I would think to myself, like, I'm not, again, that's not a good investment for me. And I think too, we also have to think about not just money as investment, but emotional labor, right? Emotional support is part of the investment as well. And that made me think with this Cameron thing, did he even provide any type of emotional support? Even though they didn't seem like they really had a plan and was together on this at all. But yeah, ambition, it makes a difference.
It's definitely a big thing. Yeah. What do you think, Dominique? What happens when ambition levels don't match?
It's going to cause the demise of that relationship, because if one person is driven and they have goals, dreams, and aspiration, and this other person is like, no, I don't want to do that, and they never want to do anything, and they want to stay in this spot, that's going to create issues. That person that's driven, that wants more out of life, that's trying to build something, is going to be discouraged, feel defeated, and depending on the dynamics of the relationship, it can come to the point where it's like this person is trying to stop the other person because they don't believe in it and they don't agree with it, which is going to make the other person unhappy. So ultimately, it's gonna create a big rift, and 9 times out of 10, the demise of that relationship.
Our producer, before I go to you, Aisha, says if the man is not ambitious, it's going to be hard on that lady, and that was kind of my take on it too. I love being an ambitious man, but ambitious woman, not so sure, because I've been one, and I've seen some, and I've seen what it can do, also. Okay. And it's not good.
Like what is wrong? I'm an ambitious woman. Like, I want so much more for myself. I want more for my daughters. So what is wrong with wanting more out of life and being in
There's nothing wrong with it. I think maybe we have to kind of be more clear about what we mean by ambition, I'll ask you the question and then we can elaborate on it a little bit more. What happens if ambitions don't match? Because sometimes, before I let you say it, Aisha, sometimes the ambitions that match can be that, for example, I would want an ambitious man, and I'm okay with him getting it, and I'm there supporting, encouraging, and holding down the home front. So we have matched ambitions in that we agree that he should be the one who's going to go get it more than me, and I'm holding down the fort. We're good. there's no fights about that ambition, right? But I have a problem when we're both ambitious, and we're both driving, and then we're leaving the home unattended. And that actually is, for me, a lot of what I see in modern life. And then they turn around and be like, well, how come our kids on drugs? Oh, well, we were both getting it, yeah, that kind of thing. But I'll let you answer it too, Aisha. What happens when ambitions don't match?
That is why we need arranged marriages, right? So that families can be involved. When we talk about arranged marriages, people actually have a misconception about it. They think it means you just meet somebody one day and that's it. That is not what it is. Arranged marriage is actually meaning your parents know you, they know who you are, how driven you are, and then if you're going out with someone, they really talk to you and say, do you know that this person is this way? Do you understand that if you marry this person, this is what you're getting into? So there's no surprises. What's happening today, we're meeting people and just marrying them, and then we're shocked when they want to work till 2 a.m. in the morning because we did it all by ourselves. There's nobody vetting for us. There's no vetting process. So and the mismatch ambition can really destroy people. Whether it's a woman that's overly ambitious and the man, then they can't see eye to eye, right? Because she's busy, she doesn't want to cook the food, and maybe he doesn't want to cook either. It's like, wait, I thought you were my wife, right? So there's this complete mismatch, and then before you know it, the whole family framework is breaking down. Like you say, and you look back, what happened to our kids? I don't know what that one is doing over there. What's happening? Because there's a mismatch. People are busy doing their own thing. Everybody's doing their own thing because they want to be ambitious. They want to, make their
everybody's chasing the bag, and nobody's watching the home front.
Nobody's watching what's happening in the home front. So the mismatch is a big deal. But if you have people that help you vet each other, that is why, sometimes I think culture has really shifted in a way where we can see it's not benefiting anybody. Where we're just deciding who to, I'm just sleeping, so you think you can F me. And it's shocking to me that a woman that is supposed to be revered and respected just speaks openly how this guy just did blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, okay. Right. So
we're going to call it modern.
That to me is no more. I'm sorry. It just takes the women, again, the women were supposed to be respected and treated with care, like nothing. And then we're surprised when it continues to snowball and becomes that over and over again. And they say, watch, they say in any community where the women are no longer respected, it starts to crumble. Any community where the women are no longer respected, because women are supposed to be treated with care, protected, and loved. But if they've now been treated like, well, you're not an investment for me, you don't work well for me, it just has to erode the community.
So our producer threw something in there. She says, wait, so are we saying that if a woman is ambitious, does that make her masculine? And I am not answering that question. Do you know why? I have had times where I was dragged on Facebook for about a month on these topics. They will not let it go. Again, I do realize that my views are generally, and I think Aisha's, as I'm listening to her talking, they do tend to be more conservative. And we're living in a world where people are more liberal. They're more, what's the word? There's been the sexual liberation and all this other stuff. So people are not as traditional.
How is that working for them? How is that working for them? Like, really,
I think it's not. I really think people need to return to more traditional values, because the state of marriage, family, our children, our community, it's a mess. And I believe it is because we threw away those traditional values. That's my belief.
Okay, and I understand what you're saying, but how was tradition 100% working for us? We had a lot of broken homes. We had a lot of things, and I'm not against it. So I am traditional.
Not against what?
I'm not against tradition, right? So I like tradition with a splash.
You're in a tradition. Marriage is very traditional.
Yeah, I believe in tradition, but I still think that even when we're talking about back in the day, things needed to be done differently. So say, for instance, you're in a family, right? The wife stayed at home and she provided for the kids and she does all this stuff. grandpa and daddy had a family down the street, and then when daddy and grandpa decides to leave, now mom and grandmother, they're out, they got to take care of the kids, and now they're poor. These things were happening in real life that created.
That's why initially I did talk about that. I did say, like, the way you should set it up is your parents are supposed to vet who's trying to marry you. Then you're supposed to have like a nest egg where no matter what happens, she's going to be okay. There is no woman in her right mind who will agree to not work and completely put the finances and everything on her husband's hands, knowing there's no backup, that if he crumbles or if he leaves, I'm on the street. That is just stupid. That's actually just stupid. It really is, because then what you're putting yourself, you're putting your children in a very, very bad position. And even your parents shouldn't allow that. Your parents should not allow you to get yourself into that position. It doesn't even make any sense. There has to be a system in place where we know that there is safety for the woman. A woman, I had actually somebody on this show challenge me on this, but a woman's biggest need, whether we acknowledge it or not, is safety and security. If there's no safety and there's no security, you're going to think she's crazy. The way she behaves when she doesn't feel safe and secure is like a mad woman. And even the same thing with a man. If you don't give him respect, again, somebody tried to argue that if you don't give him respect, he also doesn't act the way he's supposed to act. And then you're wondering, well, why does he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that? Well, just give him the basic. Let's start there. Okay. So yeah, I'm always going to speak for not just say, let's be traditional and be reckless about it. Let's do it the right way so that it works. Not just so that because I feel cute and maybe I'm lazy, so I want to be a housewife, so I don't have to do much. Mind you, I am a housewife and it's a lot of work. I did less when I was working. I could just put on my high heels and my lipstick and sit at a desk and clock at a computer. And as long as I met my numbers and what have you, I was good.
That's right.
That was much easier, you know.
That's right.
But I'm just going to see if our producer has one more video, and then from there, I'll just ask a question and we go to final thoughts. Angeline says, no for me with arrangement. And I agree with someone.
No, yeah.
And I can see why you would say that. I'm just going to check if we have one last video. It doesn't look like we have because our producer's not putting it up. She says, oh, okay, so there's the last little bit there.
A good woman is an investment.
Saw that already.
Two hustlers cannot lose together. You got to invest in your partner and build each other up, because if you grind it and they just vibing, it's never going to work. Like how I'm up late brainstorming business ideas and you just scrolling or talking about nothing. That's not partnership. That's a liability. I need somebody that's going to ask, what are we building next? Not what we watching tonight. We should be pouring into each other, not competing or babysitting. If both of y'all focused, it's unstoppable. But if one hustles and the other just tags along, it's only a matter of time before their relationships start feeling heavy and draining. Because two disciplined people will always outgrow one motivated and one lazy. So build with somebody that matches your grind and not just your vibe for the moment.
Okay, so the last question, ladies, I'm going to place it as your final thoughts. Say what you think about the question, and then just let us know where we can find you, and let that be your final thought. How should couples talk about money before investing? I think we can broaden that a little bit and just say, before making decisions for their family, how should couples talk about money before making decisions for their family? And let that be your final thought. We'll start with you, Dominique.
So I think that communication is key. So just breaking down exactly what you're looking to do, what it looks like for you and your family, and keeping it within your family, because what works for your family and what works for you. It may not work for somebody else. I do believe in setting things up like a business, like writing it out, writing a vision, making it plain and saying, hey, this is what I want to do, you know, and align with each other in terms of what you want to do. So again, this is Dominique Morgan. You can find me on all social media platforms at The Whitmore Group. And then you can go to our website at thewhitmoregroup.com.
Thank you. Dr. Angeline.
So I too think, just like you have to have a business plan when you get ready to go to the bank to ask for some money. I think you should have that same business plan, and both of you have a conversation about it, a serious, upright, down-to-earth conversation about it. And then you make your decisions based on that. I am Dr. Angeline Dean. As you can see, my website right here. I am the CEO of Melanated Neurons Communiverse, a STEM identity affirming for Black children focused box subscription, where they learn not only the history of our history and our ancestors, but projects also come in the box. And so you get to relate to whoever you're learning about through the project.
I love that, Angeline. I was a homeschool mom for years and years, and that would come in so handy for us.
Yes.
Aisha, your final thoughts, please.
Yes, what should families do? I think every family, I'm sure, has their own vision. They have the vision for their family. And with that vision, I'm sure they also have their own values. So come together, lay out your vision and your family values, have a plan in place, and then just hold each other accountable. Do your check-ins, communicate, and follow the plan like you have as a family. I think simple, just keep that simple. Where can you find me? You can find me at the Black Business School or at aishaverzi.com. And join us this weekend. We're going to have the ABNC virtual. Everybody be there.
Yes. The All Black National Convention is digital this weekend. If you have not seen any flyers, you are blind. We've been sharing them the whole week. It's going to be awesome. As our producer says, it's going to be lit. So join us this weekend for the All Black National Convention. It's digital, so you have no excuse. You can just log in and learn and network. It's going to be great. My final thought, I'm going to just really keep it short. I believe in family. I believe in marriage. And I believe, thank you, producer. And I believe that when we go into these things and take them seriously and understand the broader impact of it, when I get married or you get married, it's not just about you and me. It's about our children. It's about our community. It's about our generations to come. And that's how we should always be making decisions. What is the broader impact? So yes, of course, when you go into it, you have to communicate. You have to see what your expectations are. You have to see where you want to drive this bus and also agree who the bus driver is, okay, and who the conductor is, and so on and so on. And I think when we do family in a very responsible and purposeful way, it's a beautiful thing. It creates beautiful things. Children feel safe. They grow up in good environments. The woman is loved, protected. She feels secure. The man is respected. He wants to do more. He wants to prove himself. It can really work great when you do it the way that it was really intended. So I can't stress that enough. My name is Nomalanga. I'm a life balance expert. I focus on marriage, motherhood, and money making. So this has been a great conversation about when people invest money in a partner, they're often also investing expectations. This conversation highlights how ambition, timelines, and progress shape how those investments are judged. Understanding what support means to each person involved can make the difference between partnership and frustration. It's been a great show, ladies. Thank you, everyone, for joining us at Fly Nubian Money. Thank you, ladies. You've been great. I love the show today. We will see you next time. If you want, you can text Queens to producer 87948 and you can get alerts when we are on. Text Queens to 87948. Thanks, ladies. Bye.